Okay, so once you get this film roll in place, you're going to want to make sure that these are pushed in all the way. Give it a little tap in. Make sure it's right in the roll. And you're going to want to leave these loose for a minute so that you can move this around back and forth. And what you're going to do is take your film and pull it down and around this bar, and it's going to go straight up, and you feed it right through to the front of the machine. Just keep feeding enough until your vacuum holds. So I've got it on right now, and the vacuum is sucking, and I've pushed this up, and now the vacuum is holding the film in place until I get up there to place it in the proper place. Okay, so now my film's up here. Vacuum is holding this, holding it down. Now we've made line marks here, basically guide marks to put the edge of your film on. So you're going to want to follow on both sides and make sure at the top and the bottom that the film is lined up with that line. Make sure this is up so you can feed your film under it. Now you can pull your film a bit, pull it straight, and as you're pulling, line it up. And if for some reason you can't push it over more, that's because the roll at the back is over it too far. So you're going to have to bring it and justify it to the way that you can't pull. Now once you have both sides lined up, you're going to go to the back, and we're going to tighten it down in that place so that it doesn't move anymore. So now I've got it on the guidelines. I'm going to put my heat bar down, lock it in place. Now we're going to go around to the back and adjust the film at the back and tighten it up. Okay, so we're at the back. This is loose, so we can move it around. And you just want to make it so that it is straight on each side. Once you get that lined up, what I'm doing here is I'm lining up the roll because this is straight. So all you're doing is lining up the roll with how it comes down so that that's straight. Once you get your film lined up, lock these in place, and then we'll move back up to the top. And we're going to make sure that it rolls right. Okay, now that it's tightened at the back, you're going to want to hit forward on the machine and feed your film out, and make sure that these guidelines, that your film is staying straight with the guidelines as you go through. See, now I have zero movement because I've lined it up, I've gone to the back, I lined up my roll with this, and then I tightened it in place. So now, when I hit forward, it stays perfectly straight. If it does move to the left or the right, just slide it over a little bit and then go readjust your roll again at the back, and then do it again until this goes down and stays straight on that line. Now I have it so it's not moving anywhere, my roll is straight, locked in place, and I'm ready for the next step. Okay, so feed out enough of your roll to be able to bring it down to this roll here. And you're going to want to tape this to this roll here. And this is for all your finished product. So make sure it's nice and taut on each side, nice and straight when you're taping it in. And then you can take painter's tape and then just tape the back of it so it's nice and straight. So So I'm kind of holding on to the roll and the film here, and I'm pushing forward to give it as much tautness as I can. Then I'll apply the tape. So about 3 pieces of tape, and then you just click it on to give you that tautness. Okay, I'll go backwards for a sec. You see how it's loose? I'm going to push up on the control switch, up. Okay, and that'll loosen it. And now I push down, and it sucks it back up, nice and taut. So up here, you're going to notice an adjustment bar. Okay, so that's if it's loose here or not too tight on each side. You can actually adjust that with an Allen key and bring this roller out so that it makes it nice and tight. And then you just move your Allen key and get it to that point where it's going to stay, and then you leave it there and it stays nice and tight. And that way you have no bubbling in the top when you're printing. Okay, so once you get that down and your finished mold is nice and taped to the bottom there, you're going to come back up to the top. I like to hit down and just feed a little bit more to make sure that it all stays taut, and I'm staying on that guideline as well. Just a couple of taps to make sure she's staying straight. Okay, and now that we've determined that it's staying straight, we're going to cut off the top film of this, leaving the sticky side, okay? So all I'm doing here is lightly taking this knife and I'm scoring across the top of this, okay? Not going all the way through, I'm just scoring the top of it. You may go through in places in a little spot, don't worry about that. Just continue going and lighten your blade, lighten it, okay? If you kind of tip through, just lighten up on the blade and continue across. Okay, so I've got a little piece of tape here. I'm just gonna catch the corner of it. And that's just the film that comes off. And now I've caught the film here. Okay, sticky side there, top of the film here. You're gonna peel that back all the way. And now you make sure you just feed it to the back. Do not touch the sticky stuff when you're feeding it back. Now just push it back enough so that when you go back there, you can kind of grab it, and we're gonna put that on another roll, and that's gonna be our waste roll. So let's go back to that and do that now. Okay, so now I'm at the back. Here's our waste roll. And you want to just grab the film from the back and just pull it up ever so slightly to your roll. Right there. Okay, now you can have some pieces of tape ready to tape this on. So now all I do is you make sure it's straight on each end, and make sure it's coming off straight from the film, so it's nice and straight. And then once you get that, just hold it in place and put your tape down. Now this is holding your waste film. And once you get it taped, make sure it's plugged in. So what you're going to get with this is a transformer, okay? And that is for this waste to be plugged into. Okay, so you just come down here, and it's the bottom one here. Okay, these are the 230 volt outputs, and just put it in this one, in the bottom one. Either or, I'm putting it in the bottom left. And then once you have it in there, make sure your power is flicked to on. There's a green light that shows the power source is working. And now you can come up to here, and we can turn this on. Now you just turn it on so it rolls, and it'll continue to roll all the film until it gets to the bottom where it can't pull anymore until you start printing. Just make sure your tape's down nice. Turn it on. Make sure it's spinning in. And now it'll only go to a point where it's taut with the bottom until you print. So as you're printing, it's pulling off that waste film, okay? And you're always going to want to make sure that you're checking to make sure that as you're printing, this is turning, because it's very important. Otherwise, if this isn't turning, you're going to have the film go up and you're going to get a head strike. Okay, so with your laminate roll, you're going to want to try to eyeball as best you can, lining it up with your film. And then sort of grab the edge of it. Just bring it down to your heat bar and just let it sort of gracefully fall onto it. And you can sort of see on each side, as long as it's covering, so this laminate film is bigger than this film just by a couple of millimeters. So you're going to want to go a couple of millimeters on each side, so there'll be a little bit of an overlap on each side. And once you get that lined up, so I got to go over just a bit, and we'll bring it over. And once you get your bearing and you're lined up, and then when I'm going to kind of tug it forward a bit, don't go all the way. Now I've cut from here, so I'm not sticky here, but this is where my sticky part starts. So we don't want to roll until we get this laminate down, because you do not want to roll this sticky stuff underneath this heat bar without the laminate going through. So let it gracefully fall. I can see on each side I'm straight here, I'm over a bit here, I'm over a bit here. Now what you want to do is sort of, at the same time you're kind of pushing down ever so slightly here, you just feed until your laminate starts to fall through and go with the other film. Okay, so now I've gone through. Looks good on each side. I'm covering my film fully. And now it's starting to laminate my sticky stuff. And again, just make sure you're straight and that you're over just a bit on each side. And you can come to the back here and look as well, and you can see the actual both films here. And you can see clearly that it's overlapping on each side, which means that the laminate is fully covering all my stickiness. And now let's move to the next step. We're going to see how our heads are doing. We'll hit check on here. We'll do a nozzle check. You see it's a little broken. What I do is just give it a nice cleaning. walk up to our clean, all 4 heads. And we're going to do a normal clean on this one. Okay, once your cleaning's done, just give it another check. Boom. There's our after. So it looks like our white cleared up. We've got a little bit of a break in the color still. So we'll pull up one more week cleaning, and that should clean that up. So we went from normal cleaning, gave us that, and then we did a week cleaning. And now that should clean up all of those breaks in the color. There we go. Boom. Okay, so now our nozzle check looks good. So again, sometimes you have to do it a few times. Our first one was the normal one. We had our white break up, and then the normal fixed our white. We had a bit of a break in the color. I went to a week cleaning, and then now, after that week cleaning, our nozzle check comes out good and we are ready to print. Okay guys, so when you start your print, these sidebars here, remember that there's a little bit that's not sticky. So you're going to want to just put it over where it's not sticky. Do not go too far because you will get into the sticky side. You can kind of see a little lip line where the stickiness starts and then where it's not sticky. So just slide the guideline just part way in so it's not touching the stickiness. And same with the other side. Just part way in, just so it holds that home straight there and it holds everything down as it's going through. And as you're printing, you're going to want to watch these corners here and this one here as well. And what we're looking for is, as it's printing, this may bubble up. And this is what will cause a head strike potentially as well. So this may start bubbling up and then push this off and then crease up and you'll get a head strike. So when it's printing, you're just going to want to be watching here and here. And also making sure that this is rolling as it's printing and taking in all your finished product properly and rolling it up, as well as, and very important, is your waste film that comes off the top. Okay, you're going to want to make sure that this is spinning as it's printing as well, and it's peeling that off at the same time you're printing. So again, there's no head strike. Okay, so we're going to resume printing, and I'm going to be looking out for all of those things to ensure that we do not get a head strike and all our prints go through nice and smooth. So again, it started its print. We're watching here and on this side. Make sure that there's no bubbling. Making sure that this is spinning at the same time. Make sure it's moving and rolling your finished product in. And again at the back, really ensure that that waste film roll is moving and spinning as well. So again, we're checking the sides, making sure that there's no bubbling on both sides. If you do find there is, just adjust accordingly, like I showed you earlier. But if for some reason you're having major problems, for some strange reason with the bubbling, there is another bar here, and you can take this film and go over that as well and come down and bring it over. And that'll give you some more tautness as well. But as for right now, this is nice and taut, and we don't have any bubbling action, and everything seems to be going through straight. Okay, so now we have both rolls in. It's printing straight. All of our stuff is rolling in properly. And so now just remember that you do not want to leave this unattended while it is printing, okay? And you do periodically want to be watching your machine to make sure, again, no bubbling. Just walk over quickly, make sure nothing's changed there. Make sure this is still spinning and collecting your finished product. And make sure your waste film is still going and turning and being peeled off at the same time. These are just key little things to just kind of just take a peek at, make sure that they're going, make sure everything's moving properly. So one thing you might notice as it's printing is that you'll get like a crease, like that, okay, inside your laminate. So what you're going to want to do is these springs here are just for your slight adjustments. So you just hold your film and then just adjust it accordingly until you see that wrinkle go out. And if it's really, really bad, these slight adjustments might not work and you may have to move the whole roll with the Allen key here. But for the most part, you're just going to have to do your slight adjustments because once you get it all set in place, for the most part it should stay straight. But you can get the odd little wrinkle and you can just slightly adjust it out with these springs here. It's on this side, just adjust here until it's straight. And again, same on this side here. Just adjust accordingly until you see it straight and taut, just like that. I'm just going to show you a few places you should be greasing every once in a while. It's kind of where things spin and turn, so first one is here. Just want to get a little bit of grease in there. Give it a spin. All inside there. Same on this side. Get it around it. As it's spinning, it doesn't. Can't just start making grinding noises. And as that spins, it will spread the grease around. Another spot here is on your motor. Just want to get it inside there and inside there, and where it spins. The other side in here as well, just to get inside there. Just make sure you're on here and inside there.